All right, today's date is April 30th, 2021. Dad, Gerald Edward Brown, and I, Earl Kara Brown, are sitting in my sister's house in Anaheim Hills. Dad, tell me about your mission to Brazil.
Tell you 2.5 years in a sentence or two.
Well, no, what I'm looking for are critical choices. You made a decision to go on a mission. Did you feel like you made that decision, or were you just following through with the culture that you were raised in?
Uh, I think a little bit of both. I don't know if I ever thought of not going on a mission. I think it was of course back in the 50s when I talking about it. It was the thing to do, and although I was nervous about such an expedition to a foreign country, which I didn't know where it'd be, but anyway, it was hardly a decision. I hate to call it a decision. It's just, well, I guess it was a decision to follow the way of the church and the typical traditional uh, path in life. And I'm certainly, to put it mildly, I'm certainly glad that I did it. I did. Wow, I never featured, for example, foreign language. I never, you know, I took some Spanish in high school, and that was not a great experience. But I hadn't ever conceived of going elsewhere in the world. Of course, my older brother set the pattern. He went to Australia, and he set an excellent example for me. He's done that in everything he's done. Even to this day, he's a real stalwart, a great example for me to follow.
Yeah, so Dad, you said that you were glad that you went on a mission.
Sure.
Can you tell me why?
Tell you why. Well, as I look back on it, I mean that created for one thing, it maybe not too significant, but it created a profession for me, a career. Since I involved myself with foreign languages from then on for the rest of my life. That was just a sort of that was not a spiritual blessing, but having had that experience in the mission field was undoubtedly the biggest thing in my life to create paths for me that were so significant. And of course, up until then, I'm not. Since we're talking about going back into ancient history, I can't recall an awful lot of emotions and thoughts from that era. I know I was really attached with Janice Bradford by that time. And so to leave her was a big decision, and it was certainly probably maybe one of the most important decisions in eternity for me. As it turned out, we had a one and do currently have a wonderful family as a result of the decision to go on a mission and to follow the paths that were typical paths in the church at that time.
Yeah. Do you remember any people on your mission? Companions, or members, mission
Oh
presidents?
yeah. Well, first of all, mission President Bangerter, William Grant Bangerter, who later became a general authority of the church. He was certainly a key figure in my life. I revered him, and to this day, I thought, wow, he was a really important person in my life. He and his sister Bangerter.
How did they influence you? President
Well,
Bangerter, or his wife, influence you?
well, just a general gospel orientation in my life was just they were my stalwarts in the church, and they're probably more influential than Bishop Carlson, who was our bishop back in Denver when I was in Aurora when I was growing up. But as I say, history and time has erased a lot of my brain, a lot of my memories. But he was one. President Beger was one that probably the strongest person in the development of my spirituality and in the development of my testimony.
Yeah. Do you remember any specific companions?
Oh yeah.
Or perhaps just the practice. What's the word here? Living with someone else 24/7. Did you learn from that? How did you learn? Did you figure out how to live with someone you're not necessarily close to? Or
I don't know if I learned a lesson. Of course, maybe I don't know if I've said this in our earlier episodes in this thing, but as I may have already said in this, pardon the repetition, my big challenge in the beginning of my mission was my first companion, who was the one that carried a pistol in his cowboy boots all wherever we went, and we went into the bars, and he conversed with the bartenders and whatnot. It was something that really I'm in hopes that nowadays that wouldn't happen to any missionary, having to go with a guy who was really not at all interested, as far as I could see, in the gospel. So that was a real trial. That was a big one. And of course, I talked to President Beger and explained to him my emotions about being with this elder from Arizona. I think that was probably one of the most demanding and challenging things in my life to go through that period at the beginning of my mission. From then on, I had some outstanding companions who made a big difference in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So that was unexpected. I was really naive, I think. I thought everybody that was serving a mission died in the wool Mormons,
Yeah.
That at least in his case, that was not. That was far from the story. Even after I related to President Beger my anxieties with him. President Beger, I think, wanted to help him survive,
Mm-hmm.
so he kept me there, and he kept Elder in the mission field until the end.
Mm-hmm.
It was. I wouldn't want that to happen to very many other people having that challenge.
Mm-hmm.
That was really a downer experience.
Yeah. How do you think serving a mission impacted your life after it?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Well, it gave me permanent orientation to the direction of my life. My standards were pretty well established, I think, by the time I went on a mission. My parents, goodly parents, were great examples to me, and I couldn't have asked for a better home environment as I was growing up in Aurora.
Do you think Janie Gale Bradford's opinion of you would have been changed if you had not served a mission?
Probably, yeah. Probably so. Her boyfriend was ready to marry her, and she wasn't very far from being interested in marrying him while I was out in the mission field. So that was even when I got home from my mission, I remember how ambivalent I was about the situation between your mom and me, and I went on a few dates, very, very few dates, to try to prove to myself that I needed to know how important Janice Bradford would be in my life. So I went on these terrible, terrible dates, not having dated hardly anybody in my life. I was treading on thin ice. And it was a really strange phenomenon because let's see, what can I say? Well, I had no idea where I'd end up, what direction I'd be going in vocationally, and I had no idea what I would be doing.
Yeah. You feeling tired, Dad?
What?
Are you feeling tired?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. We can call that good for this little talk right now.